Pokemon has been a beloved franchise for many, with each new installment drawing in more and more fans to the series. However, many people believe that in recent years, the fantasy and quality of these games has diminished, leading to less than stellar experiences for most. Does Pokemon Legends Arceus deliver on the fantasy and wonder that is the world of Pokemon? Hell yeah, it does. I've been playing Legends Arceus practically non-stop since release, and as someone who has been a Pokemon fan for essentially the entirety of my life, I say with confidence that I can't remember the last time a Pokemon game has made me feel the way Legends Arceus does. Is it because we finally get the fabled open world Pokemon game? Well, perhaps partially, but I think the real reason this game is seeing so much success and love is because it manages to draw back on the original magic of Pokemon. I mean, when was the last time a Pokemon game went out and said, gotta catch 'em all? But to really understand how Legends Arceus capitalizes on this concept, we have to talk about some fundamental aspects of this game and how the overall shift to open world has created a brand new rich Pokemon experience for fans to enjoy. So what's the deal with open world games? Well, if you want to talk about open world, especially modern open world, you have to talk about Breath of the Wild. I promise this will be quick since I'm sure by now you've all either played or heard the same comments I'm about to make, but it segues well into my points about Legend Arceus. Breath of the Wild was a jump for the Zelda franchise, and it was only inevitable that there would be such a reaction to this game. It's incredible from top to bottom and a revolution within the open world genre. I mean, there's a reason Genshin Impact was called Anime Breath of the Wild, why Sonic Rangers is being called Sonic Breath of the Wild, and why this game is being called Pokemon Breath of the Wild. There's very apparent similarities and inspirations that these games have, and for good reason. Breath of the Wild is a great game and managed to take familiar aspects from previous entries and reincorporate them into an open world game with a clear focus on freedom. Dungeons and challenges are spread across the map, and your key abilities are usable basically anywhere on the map if you're creative enough to do so. In Breath of the Wild, everywhere you go, you're going in the right direction, and that is a feat that I felt every open world game should strive to achieve. Now, did Legends Arceus manage to instill this same sense of freedom into the player? Well, not exactly. Instead, Game Freak managed to utilize familiar Pokemon concepts and twist them into strong, incentivizing, and rewarding gameplay mechanics. How did they do this? By turning Pokemon into a horror game. Alright, that's a bit of an overstatement. But if you've played this game, you'll know what I mean. Right out of the gate, you're told that Pokemon are terrifyingly dangerous, and heading out into the wild means wagering your life in this world. Kinda hardcore for a franchise targeted towards younger audiences, but I digress. What I'm really referring to is the dynamic shift between player and Pokemon that this game takes advantage of. It's a bit straining to talk about this game without spoiling some aspects of the story, so I will warn you ahead of time that some keynotes, characters, locations, or general narratives might be spoiled. You've been warned. Now, if you've seen any media of this game at all, you'd know that Legends Arceus takes place in the distant past of Sinnoh in what is called the Hisui region. In Hisui, Pokemon catch you. Wild Pokemon can straight up throw hands and knock you out now, and with alphas around every corner, you have to be careful that you don't wander into their territory or accidentally step into a horde of Paris. Seriously, what is up with these guys? Why are they so bloodthirsty? Now, of course, there are Pokemon that are timid or even friendly with the player, but still, this shift in power is really interesting. I find myself sneaking around in bushes, skirting around the edges of an alpha's vision in the hopes I can sneak by without getting caught, and in doing so, the magic of Pokemon is renewed within me. Pokemon are admittedly monsters in this game, whether it's apparent or not. You have to actively think about whether or not a Pokemon might annihilate not only your team, but also yourself, the player. I think this mechanic fits not only narratively, but also from a gameplay standpoint really well. I hinted at it earlier, but one of the core objectives in this game is to seek out all Pokemon, further reinforced by your mission to complete the Hisuian Pokedex, because if you don't, well, people might wander into a pack of Paris and get eaten because they didn't know better. Now you might be asking, aren't we always told to complete the Pokedex? To which I will answer yes we are. In every Pokemon game, there is obvious progression and a relatively linear path. That is, collecting gym badges and defeating the bad guys, alongside this initial mission to complete your Pokedex. But Legends Arceus actually incentivizes the player to complete the Pokedex through good gameplay, more specifically fun, uninterrupted, and seamless gameplay. And while you can still engage in battle as you normally would, the shift between battle and regular traversal is still very seamless, and this difference really impacts how the player feels about catching Pokemon. Not to mention the inherent incentive of raising your star level through Pokemon field research, which is an ingenious progression system that again compels you to go out and interact with all manner of Pokemon. By nailing these major gameplay mechanics, Legends Arceus manages to fulfill the biggest requirement for a game, being plain good fun. That's how Legends Arceus succeeds on a fundamental gameplay level, both by reimagining previous core concepts of the franchise and by drawing on ideas from other successful open-world games, but doesn't manage to translate that success into other aspects, namely into its visuals and narrative. Admittedly, I have a lot less to say about these two aspects of this game, but this wouldn't be a proper review if I just ignored them. As someone who's played games for a while, I'd say I have a pretty solid grasp on what makes for a visually appealing game. Interestingly enough, throughout all the online conversation about this game, the only real critique that I came across initially was that this game's visual appeal was, and I quote, ugly. Now, I understand that people are entitled to their opinion, but that also means I am entitled to ignoring that opinion because I think it's dumb. This game is a visual treat. Taking inspiration from ancient Japan, what I believe to be Hokkaido specifically, Legends Arceus places you in the Hisui region, a very undeveloped and sparsely populated location. Hisui is all about its unique landscapes and nature and how they blend together to tell a story. As a whole, the visuals feel cohesive and in my opinion are good enough to keep me entranced and in wonder every time I enter a new area. In fairness, it doesn't stand up to something like Breath of the Wild, but I feel that it doesn't need to. Pokemon has its own style, and I think for what they're trying to capture here, Legends Arceus does a good job. Aside from some minor visual disturbances that take you out of the experience, I find myself in wonder of the sights that Hisui has to offer more often than not. Luckily, these visual appeals also extend to the characters of Legends Arceus, which I just want to add that as a longtime Pokemon fan, it was a lot of fun to recognize who these characters are based on. As per usual in Pokemon games, the character design is fun and expressive, which is always something I enjoy. I actually really liked a lot of the characters in this game. Akari and the protagonist have a ton of emotion and good reactions. Adaman was cool, Arezu has Twitter and myself in a frenzy. This guy sucks. And this is spoilers now, so skip like 10 seconds. But Game Freak is evil for putting Ingo here. Just let him go home, man. Narratively, Legends Arceus is a Pokemon game. You're not going to enter this game expecting some jaw-dropping story that leaves you on the edge of your seat, but there is enough substance here that keeps you engaged and interested, something that the franchise as a whole has typically managed to primarily do through interesting characters. Luckily, the transported to another world storyline, while overplayed, is something unique for the Pokemon series, and Legends Arceus manages to tell a fun story with this idea. It's simple, it's effective, but it's not going to be the reason you return to this game over and over. I did find that throughout my playthrough, I found myself a lot more interested in the character dynamics and relationships, and there's a few twists and bigger moments that really surprised me. If you played the game, I'm sure you know what I mean. At the end of the day, Legends Arceus sets out to try something new. It's a big step for Game Freak to go from their tried and true style of games to an open world adventure like this one, and despite the colossal jump they made, I strongly believe that they managed to stick the landing near flawlessly. As to be expected of a Pokemon game, Legends Arceus maintains a solid foundation through its gameplay and visuals, but reinvents them in a way that makes this game a must-buy for any fan of the franchise, and one of my favorite games of recent times. 8.5 out of 10. I hope they make more games like this. I just want to say a big thank you to the viewers who managed to get this far into the video. I know this is a bit different from what I kind of do on my channel, but Legends Arceus was just such a great game for me, and I really wanted to talk about it, at least in some form. So hopefully you guys at least enjoyed some of my thoughts, and maybe in the future I'll get a little better at this, and maybe I'll do some more reviews of some games that I enjoy. But until next time, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you then.